How to buy real estate at a foreclosure auction. Welcome back. I'm Ted Thomas, and I've been involved in real estate since 1970. And I'm going to teach you a little bit about it in this video. And the episode is going to be all about how to buy real estate at a foreclosure auction. I'll explain the foreclosure and what really makes it happen. I'll also explain a tax defaulted auction and what makes that happen. So I'm going to continue with all that in just a few minutes, and I'll tell you first that at the very end of this video, I'm going to show you two things that you don't want to do, that you want to make sure you avoid at tax defaulted auction. Now, these are two big mistakes that cost people a lot of money, so stay tuned for that, and I'll come right back. Let me get started and share with you some fundamental material about the foreclosure market. Banks lend a lot of money, and if they lend the money, they want to get their money paid back. If they don't get paid back, the collateral for their loan is the real estate property. So they will want to foreclose on that property. Now, a foreclosure is a process. The process takes a little bit of time. In the east part of the United States, you're going to have an attorney and a judge be involved in it. In the western part of the United States, they'll use a trust deed. And the trust deed is simply a loan document that has a time limit, and the trustee will foreclose in the time limit. It's a much quicker process. In Texas, they use trustees. They can do the whole process in 21 days. Now, the American dream is to own property. Everybody wants to own property, and that's fine because you want to take advantage of that appreciation. You want to have your own piece of the rock. Everybody understands that. Okay, if you're going to buy a home, where are you going to get the money? Most people go to a bank. The bank's happy to lend. In the past, they lent minor parts of the loan. As history has gone and allowed loans to take place, it's all the way down to 3% down payment, 97% loan. If the bank loans 97%, they have all the risk in the deal. If the bank loans 90%, they have all the risk in the deal. The bank has the risk. They want the opportunity to be able to foreclose. If they foreclose, they're going to foreclose to get their collateral back. Now, if you're going to buy at a foreclosure auction, you need to think about that because the bank is going to start the bidding at what is owed. So if they have owed 90% on the property and you purchase the property, you've got your hands full because you're going to try to sell it and you're not going to be able to make any money. All right, now this is a big money business. A lot of people involved in this business. Real estate agents are involved, banks are involved, insurance companies. On the East Coast of the United States, the bankers, the sheriff, everybody's involved. So this is a big money business, foreclosure. All right, the bank can really suffer a lot of pain as they did in 2008 through 2012. They lent too much money, the properties came back, they couldn't resell them, so they took the properties back at 90% of value. They couldn't sell them, in some cases, for 50% of value. If you want to go to an auction and buy at a foreclosure auction, you're going to be spending a lot of money. I mean a lot of money. If they have 50% loan, they're going to start the bidding at 50. If they have a 90% loan, they're going to start the bidding at 90%. All right, how did all this foreclosure take place? Well, it takes place because people get divorces, people lose their job, we have hurricanes, we have fires, we have all kinds of crises in the country that cause people to have problems. When they don't pay the mortgage, the lender has no choice. They're mandated by law to collect the mortgage. If they can't collect the mortgage, then they're going to want to recover their collateral. If they're recovering collateral, the auction is going to start at that amount of money. What amount of money is that? It's whatever amount they loan or whatever amount was on the starting bid. All right, so let's talk about the crises. You can get by crises, but you can't get by mortgage foreclosure. Mortgage foreclosure will take place. You won't be able to stop it unless you can pay for it. There's a much better business to be involved in, and it's tax defaulted property. Why? Because those properties are now going to auction, tax defaulted auction, for pennies on the dollar. Pennies, not like real estate foreclosure where they're going to auction for what's owed to the bank. Now the properties are going to auction for 10, 20, or 30 cents on the dollar, which is basically the back taxes and some fees. So when the treasurer forecloses on a property, They call it a tax defaulted auction. They don't call it a foreclosure. They call it a tax defaulted auction. It is a foreclosure. They want to recover it. The treasurer wants to recover the asset, but the treasurer is going to resell it. And when they resell it for back taxes and a few fees. So the treasurer is probably reselling for 10, 20 cents on the dollar. So that's a lot different than 70, 80, 90 cents on the dollar. So if you're buying foreclosures in this marketplace, you're going to find out there's very little margin between the foreclosure, which might be 90%, and the retail value. How are you going to make money? There's not enough money to even pay the brokers and pay the fees. So that's going to be a difficult business. A much better business is tax defaulted property, which are going to be sold at 10 and 20 cents on the dollar with no mortgage. There's no mortgage at a tax lien auction, no mortgage at a tax defaulted auction. So you're kind of getting the idea. This business has been around for 200 years, tax liens and deeds. Foreclosure has been around even longer than that. And people want their collateral back, and that's where they start the auction. Very difficult for you to make any money there. Very, very difficult. Okay, so loans today can be 97%. If you're going to buy property and you want to make money at it, you need to get involved in tax defaulted property so that you can buy at 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. If you want to be in the foreclosure business, the only way you're going to be able to make money there is go to the bank and ask them if they'll discount a loan. Now, try that a few days and see how that works for you. Go ask the banker to cut the price. That's going to be a real challenge. First of all, anybody that you meet in a branch is not going to be able to have that decision power. So think about that. It's going to be a tough business for you to make money on. Do some people make money? Yes, because they find properties that are old and the mortgages have been paid down. Okay, the tax deed market is a very good market. The foreclosure market is very difficult to make money. So you're going to choose whichever one you want. I chose tax liens and tax deeds. Now let me give you an example. For example, I had a couple recently bought a property at a tax defaulted auction. Now it's just a bread and butter property. They paid $8,000 for a 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom home that they purchased at the auction. They spent a little bit of money, $4,000 or $5,000 fixing it up, and then they sold it on an installment contract, and they're going to get $52,000 over the next 10 years. So they had $12,000 invested. They're going to bring back in $52,000. You figure it out. That's with the market that you want to be in. A lot different than buying in the foreclosure market and paying as much as 90%, 70, 80, 90% is what you'll have to pay in the foreclosure market, yet they bought for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. You're kind of getting the idea. All right, so I'm going to be ready to button this up, but I have 2 questions to answer first, and I'm going to do those right now. The question is, if the title isn't clear on a tax defaulted auction, can you go get your money back? To the best of my knowledge, you can't, because what the county is going to do is they're going to sell the property, and they're going to sell it with a quitclaim deed. I said quitclaim deed. And in the quitclaim deed that they give you, now they might call it a treasurer's deed, they might call it a sheriff's deed, but in that deed, it will have a disclaimer. And the disclaimer is that they disclaim any responsibility for the title, they disclaim any responsibility for the condition of the property. So let's go back to the question. The question was, if the title isn't clear or the property isn't perfect, can you go back and get your money back? The answer, to best of my knowledge, is absolutely not. Because when you receive the deed will have a disclaimer. Okay, it could be a sheriff's deed, it could be a mortgage deed, it could be a treasurer's deed. More than likely, it will be a quitclaim deed. That means the county is quitting any claim and they're disclaiming any responsibility for the property or any responsibility for the title. Child support lien question, it always follows the person. Many attorneys will file a child support lien always against the person, but they may file it on the property so in the hopes that if the property is sold, not auctioned, if the property is sold, that it will still be standing and the wife or the spouse will get paid. Okay, so let's talk about those 2 big mistakes. Number 1, people show up at the auction and they right away start bidding. They're really excited, so they want to get going. You don't want to bid at an auction if you haven't seen the property. Why? What if there was a hurricane? What if there was a big storm and there was a flood? What if there was a fire? Something might have happened to that property since you last looked at it. So if you've not looked at it, don't bid at all. If you have looked at it, it has to be recent, very close to the auction time. So looking at a property, a lot of people don't do it, and then they get in big trouble and they lose a lot of money because the property isn't any good when they get there. So that's number one. Number two, you don't want to bid in an auction unless you have an exit strategy. So if you don't know what you're going to sell the property for, how can you plan on bidding? You could easily bid too high. So what you want to do is you want to plan your purchases. So you need to know exactly what the property is worth, what you can sell it for, and what you can sell it for quickly before you start bidding at auction. That's called an exit strategy. All right, folks, if you learned a lot in these lessons, we have a lot more for you, and all you have to do is join my community. Now, I have a gift for you if you do join the community, and all you have to do is go below me, but the gift is a quick start. Now, what does quick start mean? It's just a short course that's online that you can start right away learning about tax liens and deeds. The first part of the quick start is about tax lien certificate. The second part is all about tax deeds. You can learn both of those, and you can do that. Just go below me. It's a free course. It's my gift to you.